started things a little bit differently tonight. If you remember, I don't know how many of you were here the last spring concert we did a couple of solos in the beginning. Tonight we featured Miss Emma Wright and Miss Kelsey Beavers on clarinet. Let's give them a hand. Emma and Kelsey are both seniors, and they are moving on to college, and they're going to do something with music, whether it be majoring or minoring or something or other. They're going to be involved in the music program in college, and so that was part of their audition process. They were preparing some pieces, so we wanted to showcase them, and they volunteered to do that, so thank you for doing that. The first piece that you heard was Staccato for Band by Frank Erickson. We will move on to the next piece, but before we do that, I want to mention about the program. This is my attempt at being tech savvy. If you'll notice, there's a little box on the bottom left-hand corner. Some of you know exactly what that is, some of you have no clue. If you have no clue, the chances are you probably have no capability to do anything with it anyway. But if you have an iPhone or Android smartphone of some type, and you have a QR scanner, you can open that app, scan that, and it'll show you the roster of the wind ensemble. So I kind of tried something new. It actually worked for me, so if it works for you, then great. If not, we can get that to you sometime. But just wanted to mention that to you. So usually we say turn your cell phones off. We want you to turn them on, but we want you to keep them silent if you would. So I wanted to mention a few people that are in the audience. I'm pretty sure that we have at least one school board member here. If there's any other school board members or any other school board personnel, please be recognized at this time. Thank you for coming. I know there's at least one, I'm sure. If there are any administrators in the audience, I know Ms. Dana Work is here. Thank you for coming. We really appreciate your support from the administration. So thank you all, esteemed guests, and of course, parents. You're our most important asset. Are there any Bradley teachers that are in the audience? If you're a Bradley Central High School teacher, thank you for coming. We really appreciate you. And up in the booth, Mr. Schroeder, way to go. And just walking in is one of our middle school band directors, Mr. Hunt. Thank you for being here. We are going to move on with the next song. It's called With Quiet Courage. This is written by Larry Dane, and this is in tribute to his wife, Lois, who died an untimely death. And it is basically, the song means her life was without fanfare. It was just a quiet, solemn life. And so this is in tribute to her. Hope you enjoy With Quiet Courage. As Mr. Coggin is coming up to the podium, I have to share a story about that last piece. We went through a lot of trouble to play that piece. It's kind of funny. We talk about grading music, and we've made stories about grade 3, 4, 5, 6 music and all this other kind of stuff. It's hard stuff. If I had to guess by just listening to that piece, well, first of all, it's kind of a watered down version of a bigger piece called Tritico. This is the first movement. The actual Tritico by Nellie Bell is grade 6. This is a grade 2 arrangement. And if I were just listening to it, I would never, ever, ever guess that it's a grade 2 arrangement. Well, I told the kids that, and they went, "This is a grade 2. This is hard." And there are some on the scale, grade 3, grade 4 music that's not very hard. And there's some, it doesn't happen very often, but there's some grade 2 stuff like this that's a little bit more difficult. I actually tried to play this when I conducted junior clinic last fall. And it didn't go so well, so we cut it from the concert. It was that hard. So these kids did a really good job at getting it together. I fought blood, sweat, and tears with the trumpet section a few times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Some of that kind of stuff. But they pulled it off, so way to go, guys. Good job.
I just want to say a couple things about the next piece. The next piece is called Variants on a Shape Note Tune. And some of us might know what a shape note tune is. I went on a big long explanation for the kids. I won't quite talk that long. But a shape note tune it comes from old sacred music or church music. And what they used to do was, and if you ever look in an old church hymnal, you'll notice that the notes are shaped. Okay? They have diamonds, squares, upside down triangles. There's different types, different ways to do it, but that's called shape note singing. And what they did was every shape had a certain sound that went along with that shape. So that's kind of a basic rundown of what shape note tunes are. There's a whole book of them called it's the Sacred Heart Hymnal is what it's called. So this next piece is based off one of those hymns from that shape note hymnal. So it just takes one of those tunes from that hymnal and varies it. So that's what the house is. So I should quit talking now.
Sometimes we like throwing a curveball at kids, and they saw that piece for the first time probably about 3 weeks ago. So we decided to just go ahead with it, and they did a real good job at preparing that. Those of you that are familiar with Lee University or have ever been to Lee University graduation, that's their processional. So it sounds a little bit like pomp and circumstance in the middle. You heard that? That's what their procession was for graduation. I just decided to steal it and do it here. So that was proud heritage. Welcoming to the podium in just a moment, I wanted to mention one person that's probably not here tonight, and that's Spencer Hughes. He was our student teacher in the fall. He did for marching band, and we had another student teacher in the spring, and her name was Jessica Adams. And so she's going to come and conduct 2 pieces for you, Song for Lindsay and Devil Dance. So please welcome to the podium, Miss Jessica Adams. Lindsay, we had a special guest instrumentalist, and she is terribly embarrassed every time I say anything about it. But Caitlin McSpadden, I want to say I'm very proud of her playing the piano on that one. Let's give her a hand. While I'm talking about Caitlin, I know she really doesn't want me to say this, but her and Monzie, one of our clarinet players, she probably doesn't want me to say anything either. We're both involved with the Distinguished Young Women pageant. So, hey, way to go, ladies. That's really way to represent us. One or two, I'll pay for that later. That's okay. No problem. I'm proud of you guys, and I'm not afraid to tell anybody. I want to mention a few things before we move on. You'll see two guys here looking really handsome up front at a soundboard. They are doing audio recording tonight. They are going to make their recording available to you for $4, and a portion of that proceed will actually go directly to the band program. So if you're interested in purchasing that, please come see those gentlemen right after the concert, and you can sign up with them. Also, there will be DVDs available. You'll see Mr. Schroyer for that one. Actually, no, you won't see Mr. Schroyer, because they're not going to be available tonight. There are pre-orders over here, and they're going to duplicate, they're going to edit, duplicate, and all that kind of stuff on the DVD. And we'll have those next week, or the end of this week, I believe, for $5. So $5 DVD, $4 audio, and a portion of that proceed goes directly to the band. So consider buying that. All right, welcome back, Mr. Conlon.
Last piece that I'm doing, well, the concert's not over yet, but the Little English Suite. It's based off 4 English folk tunes. They're listed there, and I kind of looked at a book before the concert, and it had a whole history and everything like that. And I decided just to let you know that that's what each one of these 4 tunes is just an old English folk song. What the composer did is took those tunes and used those as a basis for the whole piece, kind of like the play. So here's Little English Suite by Claire Young.
Thank you.
recognize some band members at this time. If you are a senior and you are in the band, would you please stand? Let's give a hand for all of our seniors. Thank you very much. If you scan your QR code, you'll see that the seniors are in bold. Also, if you performed or participated in junior clinic, would you please stand up? Junior clinic. Those in senior clinic, please stand. All state. And can I brag on him just real quick? This is a guy that got second chair in the state in orchestra, and both first and second chair were from East Tennessee. Way to go. United States Army All-American Marching Band. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and ask, did I miss anybody? Lee Honor Band. And I'm probably missing somebody, I hope not, but congratulations to everybody that participated in honor ensembles. That's a big undertaking, and I really think that, well, everybody pretty much knows, myself and Mr. Cotton, we're very proud of our students, and they work really hard, and they earn what they get. So you ought to be proud of them too, and I know you are. That's a pretty big accomplishment, all of those ensembles. So let's give them another big hand for everybody. Just by way of announcement, remember that our band banquet is Friday night. If you have not paid for that, you need to get your money for that before Friday night or by Friday night. So make sure that you send that to school. If you haven't signed up for that, then you need to see Mr. Coggin right after the concert and make sure if your student has not signed up, or make sure that you are signed up. Talk to Mr. Coggin about that and we'll get it straightened out for you. Am I forgetting anything? Is that it? Jazz Clinic. All right, Jazz Clinic. Stand up for Jazz Clinic. Good job, guys. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I'll make notes next time. The last piece that we're doing, we actually brought to festival. We had variations on a shape note tune and also March to the Scaffold that we brought and got superior and excellent ratings at festival. And this is March to the Scaffold. This was one of the kids' favorites. That's actually my favorite piece that we did because it's all about somebody walking, marching to the scaffold, to the gallows to have his head chopped off. And if you listen really closely at the end, you'll hear dum 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 dum, which means the head got chopped off and it rolled. So enjoy March to the Scaffold. Thank you so much for coming tonight, and at the end of this piece we will be done and you will be free to go.
Thank you.